In 1980, while on a research program during medical school at Yale, a mysterious illness landed me in the hospital in London, where I was doing a student clerkship. I was weak, achy, and so low in energy it felt like I was going to die. They did every test possible, but never came up with a diagnosis. No lurking cancer, no rare infectious disease, no organ malfunction, no autoimmune issue. Everything came back normal. At one point, I realized that some visiting residents were probing my sense of humor to evaluate whether or not I belonged in a psych ward. They concluded I didn't. After 10 days, I was released and returned to the United States for my 4th year of medical school. I was taken off the plane in New York in a wheelchair and paid for a limo back to New Haven. I appealed to the dean for some breathing room, but without a diagnosis, I was given no time off and got very little sympathy from faculty, family, or friends. My social support evaporated as people either didn't believe me or began to see me as difficult. I did what I had to do to muscle through. I took an apartment across from the hospital in order to be able to go back to sleep after 5:30 a.m. rounds. Somehow, I made it through, wrote my dissertation, and graduated. During surgical and internal medicine rounds, I watched doctors and doctors in training stride across hospital rooms at 6 a.m., lifting up gowns to begin their examinations without even saying hello to the human beings in the bed. They didn't engage. They didn't ask questions, not even, "How are you today?" And they didn't seem to hear anyone but other doctors. And with the sickest of patients, when they ran out of tools, physicians disappeared, abandoning people who had lives and experiences and families much like their own without so much as a farewell. They left that to the nurses. Fresh off my own experience in London, I really knew what that felt like for patients. It's why I decided to go into psychiatry. I refused to be involved in any specialty in which I wouldn't have time to listen. The brain, in fact, the entire human nervous system of which the brain is a part, is hungry for connection. The feedback that we get from conversation, from sincere questions, tells us that we are accepted and that we belong. When we don't get this essential social vitamin, we starve the circuits of the nutrients they need. We get sicker. Our mental acuity withers. Depression creeps into and attacks our system. Being abandoned by doctors and by our social support teaches us to abandon ourselves. This is what made me start the Women's Mood and Hormone Clinic at UCSF in 1994. I wanted to give women what I didn't get. And when I worked with women as they shifted out of the reproductive phase of life and into uncertain territory, I wanted to know the answers to the questions, how are you feeling? What are your days and nights like? What scares you? What's making you happy now? And most important, can you tell me your story? I want to hear everything. For 30 years, I have been listening hard to the stories of joy and loss, discovery and fear, freedom and disorientation from women in transition. And for most of that time, I have been sitting at the vanguard of research at UCSF's medical school, where I've had a front row seat to groundbreaking, impactful science. I've witnessed the emergence of real actions we can take to come into our fullness, with an increasing number of doctors and organizations focused on exactly this. I wish they were emerging faster, but the more we know, the more we ask for, the more medicine will respond with what we need.